Hey everyone, how are you guys doing today? So this is going to be the second of the back-to-back UFC numbered cards fight prediction. UFC 325 goes down under in Sydney, Australia. But once again, the fight prediction is in the co-main event slot. This time in the lightweight division with number 6 Dan Hooker taking on the hard-charging number 8 Benoit Saint-Denis BSD. But before we get into the fight prediction, guys, please like the video, share it, hit that subscribe button, get all your friends to subscribe to the channel, and check this out, guys. Down in the description box is the link to the Facebook page. Tomorrow the official UFC 324 raffle goes up. So click the link in the description box to the Facebook page, head over there, follow the rules, enter that raffle, and maybe you could win something really cool. Okay, now on to the fight prediction. So I hate to say this about Dan Hooker because there is a part of him that I actually like, but I really am starting to believe we have seen the best that this guy's ever going to be. I think he's starting to slip into that gatekeeper zone. Now look, he's 35 years old, and I get it. 35 is not 38, 39, 40, 41. I get that. So he still has some time left on the timetable. He's 24-13, 18 finishes. That's a solid record, right? But he's coming off of that Arman Tsarukyan loss. And if we're going to be honest about Dan Hooker, he did show some takedown defense improvement, however slight it might have been, against Mateusz Gamrot. But I think against the elite guys, he's just always going to have a problem. Another problem he has is he doesn't get off the center line like he used to. So when he gets into firefights, he tends to eat a lot more strikes than he did a long time ago. Well, a long time ago. Earlier in his career. But I think he's going to seriously struggle with anybody that has anything near an elite style ground game. And I think that's something that BSD brings to the table. Now, is Denis as relentless as the Dagestanis? No, he's not. Is he as relentless as Arman Tsarukyan? No, I think Arman's more elite ground game, but I think Denis is somewhere in the range of Gamrot and Arman. So I could see very easily that Dan Hooker is going to struggle with that. And here's the other thing. Benoit Saint-Denis is only 30 years old. He's starting to come into his own, guys. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. All of his 16 victories are all finishes. So the UFC under the Paramount umbrella now, this is somebody, even though he's French and not American, he's going to get a push. However, the one time that Denis fought a high-level name, dare I say an elite fighter, was Dustin Poirier at UFC 299, and we saw Denis get knocked out. Will that change in time? I think so. I really do. Will one day Benoit Saint-Denis wear gold? I don't know. It all depends the way the division plays out. You know, you still got Umar on the upswing as well that he's going to have to worry about. Although that's going to be a good rivalry, I think. But against Poirier, Mark Denis, Benoit Saint-Denis showed an aggression where he got open to counters, and that's something that Dan Hooker is more than willing to do, is counter and get it into a firefight. Hooker has some minor advantages in height and reach. He has a good Muay Thai base. He throws volume. He will try to overwhelm Denis. He has a decent body kick, but he doesn't hide. It's not like he's hiding his body kick, behind a jab or behind an uppercut or even like an elbow and stepping back and landing the body kick. He just doesn't hide it well. Denis tends to be able to land a high number of strikes as well. So when they try to pressure each other, and they will wind up in a clinch situation, Denis has very fast elbows in the clinch. Not really knees up the middle that Hooker's going to have to worry about. The real thing that Hooker's going to have to worry about is in that clinch situation, that's where Benoit Saint-Denis likes to do judo throws or trips and chain that up with single leg takedown attempts. And he's very slick on the ground to the point where he's always in a good top position where he's going to land some very heavy ground and pound from the top. Hooker also is tending in his most recent fights to be hesitant and not let his hands go as much, even though he does like to overwhelm people. Denis going to need to look out for Denis. Hooker's going to have to look out for low leg kicks also, which Denis will land on him. Remember, and remember, I said that Denis is somewhere between Arman and Gamrot. Well, Arman got Hooker down and was able to control him. Denis able to transition very slick into dominant positions. Like I said, faster than Arman is. He also uses some slick counter wrestling to get back up if Hooker's able to get him down, which I don't really see that happening, but it's a possibility. So Dan's going to need to be wary of a lot of things coming at him in this fight. Call me guys, please call me crazy. Go ahead. You want to know who I think Benoit Saint-Denis reminds me a little bit of? BJ Penn. Now, I'm not saying that Denis is going to be, an all-time great, a Hall of Famer, a legend in the game. I'm not saying that. We don't know that just yet. But in physicality and in aggression, he reminds me a lot of BJ Penn. He does. Now, obviously, BJ Penn, had a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu base, and grappling is more Denis than Jiu-Jitsu. But I think he reminds me a little bit of him. And look, I know I just pooped all over Dan Hooker, but he's still a durable fighter. He is. And I don't want to say he's completely washed, because he's not. But with him not getting off the center line, and with the striking arsenal that Denis has, it could very easily cost him. And I see this fight going to be a very fast-paced, high-action, back-and-forth fight. I'll tell you guys what. By the end of the first round, I think both of these guys are going to be bloody. And if they're not bloody, they're going to be seriously marked up, and their faces are going to be ready to get bloodied. But I think there's just so much coming at Dan Hooker in this fight. Benoit Saint-Denis is so creative in there. I think that arsenal is going to start to melt Dan Hooker down. And I think by late second round, Denis is going to be able to lock in a triangle. And I think Hooker's going to do what Hooker does, and he's going to tap. At home in Sydney, Australia, 325. The fight prediction is Benoit Saint-Denis by submission late second round over Dan Hooker. You know, just a side note on this. What could possibly be next? I don't know. When you get to the top of the division, opponents are very slim pickings, you know. You got to fight everybody, right? Who could Denis fight next? I think it might be a little bit too much for him. Max Holloway against Charles Oliveira winner? I mean, I would not favor Benoit Saint-Denis against either one of those two guys right now. Okay. Obviously, Charles Oliveira on the ground, I think he would just sink Denis, and I think the guts and the non-stop action of Max Holloway would melt Denis, honestly. So I wouldn't favor him against either one of those guys right now. But it would be an interesting fight either way. So guys, please, once again, like the video, share it, hit that subscribe button, get your friends to subscribe to the channel. Go to the description box, check out the link to the Facebook page, because tomorrow, I'm telling you guys, the UFC 324 raffle is going up. Enter. See if you guys could win. Once again, the 325 prediction. Benoit Saint-Denis, second round, late second round submission over Dan Hooker. So, until the next video, Cyclone saying, peace out, home, ease, bye.